are the New York Knicks. I'm back in the New York groove. Well, it's the Knicks. New York. We are the New York Knicks. New York. For this new season we're about to enter, the Knicks is taking no shorts, just like winter. New York, New York.
New York be about the Knicks, huh?
But the best thing about New York City is
K-N-I-C-K-S.
Everybody say go New York, go New York, go!
Hey, and welcome to the New York Knicks podcast, episode 424, part of the Almighty Baller Podcast Network and Dash Radio. I am Jay, and with me is Mark. How you doing, Mark?
What's going on, Jay? Since I can't hear the intro music anymore, and I really like the intro music, Jay, I'm going to try to force you to do the intro music for me. Just sing it. I
actually went to the Apple Store to try and get this issue resolved, and they set up a phone call with me, and so I got on the phone, I explained the problem, and the guy's like, let me look into it because I'm not really sure. And I was on hold for 25 minutes, and then he comes back and says, yeah, I've never podcasted before, and I don't really know anything about this. And I was like, well, they told me they set up a call with an expert, and then they end up setting me up with a call with a guy who's never even podcasted. That's exactly the opposite of an expert.
Or someone that's used GarageBand before?
Yeah. So I'm
Wait,
gonna go back.
You're like, do you even work at Apple? No, I was just standing in line. Someone just handed me a phone and told me and said, "You're an expert," and I said, "Okay."
Yeah. So I'm gonna have to march over to the Apple Store again tomorrow. I will figure this out though.
Was the person on the call was you like, wait, are you Jeff Hornacek? Yeah, so I'm not doing the Knicks thing anymore. So this was just kind of a hobby of mine. Now I'm an expert for people that call about podcasts.
Because I mean, this show is like barely running right now because I don't know, everything's all messed up.
Enough of you bitching. Dave Fizdale, he's our coach. Let's talk about that.
We have a new coach. We have a very appropriate voicemail about this. So I'm going to play the voicemail.
Is it from Dave Fizdale?
It is. He wanted to ask our opinion on the hiring. So I'm going to play
Should I take the he said, Jay, should I take the job?
So I'm going to play the voicemail real quick, and then we'll discuss.
Okay.
Hey guys, love the show. I just saw that the Knicks hired David Fizdale, and I'm pretty excited about that. I was just wondering what you guys think about the hire, and if you're excited or not. I mean, I know we can't get our hopes up because, it's the Knicks, but he's a coach that sticks up for his players, the famous take that for data, and I think that the players are going to love him, and the first thing he's doing after he's hired is flying to Latvia to meet with KP, which is something that Hornacek never did, and, after KP didn't go to the exit interview, somebody should have went over there to talk to him, because we need to keep him happy. He's the only way we're ever going to, be able to compete for a championship. So, again, love the show, guys. Thanks.
Are we on the show or not now?
Yeah, now we're on. Yeah. Okay, thank you for the voicemail.
Awesome.
So David Fizdale. A little bit, do you know anything about David Fizdale, Mark?
Yes. His first name is David. His last name is Fizdale.
So David Fizdale, I did some research.
You did some research. Well, I knew some of it. I know a decent amount of him now. I knew a decent amount about him. Not much, but go on, Jay.
Okay. So he was a point guard on his high school basketball team.
Yes. But he wasn't what I like about this also is I feel like if you hire Michael Jordan to be your coach, say, just like an example, the guy's so good at basketball. He's not necessarily he could be a good coach, but a lot of times he's not going to be a good coach because he's just I don't know, just practice 48 hours a day and just hit all your shots. What the hell you do? Why are you more competitive like me?
Don't get from the free throw line.
Yeah, I don't know. Just get the game-winning shots. That's what we're supposed to do. Magic Johnson's coaching you. He's like, just close your eyes so people know where you're passing and then pass it right to the perfect guy every time.
So David Fizdale started in the NBA in 2003, the 2003-2004 season.
Well, I was going to say, I like about the fact that he didn't make the NBA as a player.
Right. Well, he didn't even make college.
Yeah. So, but the whole point is he loved basketball. He wanted to do it. He wasn't good enough as a player. So, he obviously basically he's not going to say do it like me. He's going to he's one of these guys that had to learn he loved it and he learned it from the coaching side of things.
Exactly. So at 29, he became the assistant coach for the Warriors.
Which Jay, what were you doing at 29?
29, I was getting my first real job.
Fizdale is doing better than us.
A little bit.
At age 29, he peaked. He got further than both of us have.
The next season, he moved over to the Hawks, and he was assistant coach there for 4 years.
He was an assistant in college, by the way. Are you missing that?
I am.
Okay, San Diego and Fresno State.
Okay.
I'm just letting you know.
So he actually got in coaching really early in life.
Yeah, again, much. He's a go-getter. He's not us.
In 2008, 2008-2009 season, he moved over to Miami.
Well, do we want to say also the Hawk teams who was the coach? Who did he learn under?
He learned under.
Tell me, you know this.
Mike,
so what coach?
Mike Woodson.
Yes. So he learned all about the East being big. He has that in him. So I'm floored. He's going to be a great coach.
He knows how big the East is.
Yes.
Then he moved to Miami. He was assistant coach for 6 years.
Somehow he was able to take the talents of LeBron James, Chris Bosh, and Dwayne Wade to the finals multiple times. It's amazing how you can get guys that bad to the finals consistently.
And then he was associate head coach for the last 2 years in Miami. So he was there a total 8 years. I don't know what the difference between assistant coach and associate head coach is.
It's probably just how high you up in the coaching hierarchy. I imagine they probably have a number of assistant coaches, and so they have 5 assistant coaches. He's the real he's the vice president at that point.
Right.
And who was and so why this is important? So I guess whatever you want to say at Woodson, he was our last best season we've had.
Our last successful coach, yes.
Yes. He was our last successful coach. Whatever you want to say about him, he got the players to play well, and he may have kind of walked into some the thing that drives me crazy is the Knicks were playing small ball, shooting a lot of threes, doing a lot of things that other teams now are doing, and he kind of walked into that more accidentally. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, he did have a lot of success here, and he learned from Woodson. In Miami, obviously they had LeBron and they had a lot of talent. But would you say Eric Spoelstra is one of the better coaches at the NBA?
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah, and I think even after LeBron left, they haven't won a title or anything, but the team has been more competitive than you'd expect.
Exactly.
So I like the fact they spent 8 years learning under Spoelstra, who at the time he came in the league obviously was basically a rookie coach at first, and he really developed as a coach, and he developed under a developing coach, and also as easy as it's I can just say I can coach a LeBron team to a title by just going, I'll back off, let LeBron just take over. They had a lot of things to work out there, and it was not the easiest situation in the world. He obviously learned how to manage big name talents, how to manage egos, and when LeBron left, they learned how to redevelop a team. I think Miami, one of the things they're known for is they're one of the best at really working with their D-League team to develop talent.
Mm-hmm.
And so all those things are very strong positives. And you're assuming, I guess, Fizdale is someone that's learned all this under Spoelstra. So that's a strong positive.
Yeah, absolutely. So then he moved on to become head coach of the Grizzlies.
Tell me how many years he was there, Jay. How many years? Tell me all about this amazing history he had with him.
Well, he was there last year for the whole season.
He made an entire whole season, which is more than most Knicks coaches do.
They finished 43-39. Not too bad. It was a team with a good starting lineup and a crappy bench, so that's about what kind of a record you'd expect.
People say generally Fizdale is one of the more liked guys around the NBA. Everyone really likes him. All the Miami players have basically LeBron, Chris Paul, all of them recommend him highly. They said he was great to work with. He's also very much an advanced metric guy. If you want the Knicks to play more basically Houston-style ball, Daryl Morey type ball. Not that he's going to copy Daryl Morey, but he's much more of an advanced metric kind of guy. And when he got to Memphis, he took a team. He basically took them. He did the advanced metrics with them. Did a lot more small ball, a lot more 3-point shooting. One of the big things people say is that prior to him getting there, Marc Gasol had shot a shot a 3-pointer once in his entire life, and now he's consistently shoots a decent amount of 3-pointers every year. I think he shoots over 100 a year now, or I don't know what the actual numbers are, but he shoots a lot more threes. And Fizdale's it's because of Fizdale and the team. There are a bunch of stats they won up in. I think they got a lot better in defense. They got a lot better at shooting threes under Fizdale in a short time period.
Yeah.
Then what happened this season, Jay?
He coached the first 19 games. They were 7-12, which,
right.
If you look at how the rest of the season went, is amazing. Right,
because 7-12 was a dream run for them, based on the rest of the season being just a total tank job.
Yeah.
So he got fired. Basically, there was an incident with Marc Gasol. The general narrative I've heard is basically when he got there, he decided to do things one way, and said basically was saying how we're going to turn this team into a contender. And I think Marc Gasol, who had led the team to the playoffs the last 7 or 8 years, did not necessarily take it the best way, being like, I've already accomplished a lot in Memphis. Don't tell me how you're going to turn this franchise around when we're already making the playoffs consistently. And then he tried to do more small ball, and Gasol it basically rubbed Gasol the wrong way to the point where Gasol basically said, it's me or him. And the dysfunctional management of the Memphis Grizzlies said, we're going to get rid of our coach.
And then they went on to finish the season 22-60.
Yeah, and Marc Gasol's future, they're probably limited. They're probably going to also say Marc Gasol's going to be gone soon.
Yeah.
As well. I mean, he's not the dominating player he was before. It's one of the rare cases where a coach gets fired, and immediately after he's fired, the whole league is like, the team screwed up, and if we had a coach opening position, we'd interview this guy in a heartbeat.
Yeah, I mean, Marc Gasol's 33. His best days are behind him.
I mean, either way, people felt that Memphis was a little bit dysfunctional. They made a bad choice here. Their bad choice could be our good choice. As far as the people who, I guess, as far as the choices, he was as good as any other choice.
I mean, we talked the last 3 episodes, and he was in my top 2.
Yeah, I think we both said that he was someone that we'd be very happy he became the coach. We wouldn't have any issue with it. You don't know how it's going to turn out, but I like this hiring.
I did too. I'm happy with it.
No, there's been no reaction generally outside of a few people on comment boards who just will hate everything. But generally, the league-wide, fan-wide reaction is this was a good hire. We're happy with it. It wasn't like there wasn't like a Popovich out there where you're like they should have gotten that guy. He's so amazing. Fizdale and there are a couple other guys out there also who were could have been good choices, and you don't really know.
Weird story of this week. There was rumors that the Knicks had a second.
Are you gonna say Fizdale bought a Knicks podcast T-shirt?
There was rumors that the Knicks interviewed David Blatt twice, and then David Blatt went on the radio on a French radio show and said he hasn't interviewed for any teams yet. So that's
weird.
Yeah.
maybe they sat down and Blatt didn't think it was an interview. Blatt was I thought it was a date.
I'm thinking he was still coaching his team, and he didn't want to that to be a distraction.
Yeah, I imagine that. I imagine he probably knew he wasn't getting the Knicks job either, so he'd why make it a distraction? And it's in French. He's like, Americans will never even hear about this.
Yeah.
That was a little weird. What else did they say? Fizdale. So apparently, one of the first things he said he was going to do was fly out to Latvia to make acquaintances with KP.
And apparently, he's been talking about during the interview. He was asked how he would develop Frank. So it's good that they have Frank on their mind as far as development, because the Knicks never develop.
They don't develop anyone. So one of the things about this was they were saying, is this a Steve Mills? Sorry, is this Mills or is it Perry who's really running this going forward? And who's going to be a bigger influence? And the theory was if they took Blatt, then it's really Mills who's running things because Mills had the connection to Blatt, and so maybe he's kind of forcing things on Perry, who's supposed to be in charge, right?
Mm-hmm.
But since they hired Fizdale, clearly this is more of a Perry choice, and Mills is giving Perry the chance to run with things.
Well,
I think they kind of work together, but I think Perry is the one that's supposed to be making the basketball decisions.
The only story that went around this week that I did not like, I saw it in 3 different places, that the Knicks are preparing to clear up cap space for LeBron.
I don't know if I saw that also, and I don't think that's a real story. What I imagined was someone asked the Knicks are like, "Yeah, sure. If LeBron really wants to come here, we'll clear up cap space." Okay.
I'm hoping that's it, because the other thing that then conspiracy theories started running around, and people were saying that the Knicks hired Fizdale because he has a good relationship with LeBron, so they were doing that to impress LeBron.
Yeah, I mean that was like the thing we talked about last week, where like, did we talk about that when Mark Jackson, Kevin Durant's agent told Mark Jackson, or maybe we didn't talk about it on the show. Maybe
No,
I don't think it's Kevin Durant's agent, Kevin Durant's business partner recommended highly the Knicks hire Mark Jackson, and so the theory was you'd hire Mark Jackson to get Kevin Durant. I don't know why the Knicks give a crap what Kevin Durant will never be a Knick. Why care what his business partner thinks?
No
One's signing here until they develop a team, so just forget about all that stuff.
Well, especially Kevin Durant. I mean, I could see, okay, he didn't like playing with Westbrook. He seems really happy playing on the Warriors. They gave him a big role. He's like co-leader with Curry.
The team's awesome also. Why? Like they've a decent chance of winning another title. Of course he's not leaving.
Yeah.
And LeBron James, he's probably leaving Cleveland. Probably. I mean, who knows? There's a decent chance he might leave Cleveland. You know what the last place he's going to go? I think the second to last. I think the second to last place is back to Cleveland, and the last place is New York.
He's not coming to New York.
Yeah. Oh, well, actually, I guess he might leave Cleveland. He might stay in Cleveland. Who the hell knows? He's just not coming to New York. There's no way. Let's not talk about it ever again. And if the Knicks are clearing cap space for him, if that means they somehow get rid of Noah, that's great. We have to get rid of Noah now. We're going to work out a trade.
Yeah, for those of you who submit questions to our thread, we will not be talking about LeBron to the Knicks ever.
Unless they somehow work out turns out LeBron's going to take the mid-level exception.
He still won't come to the Knicks.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying that the Knicks don't even have the cap space to sign him anyway. Unless LeBron said, for my last act, you know what? No one's putting me above Michael Jordan. You will put me above Michael Jordan when I win a title with the Knicks, because that's an impossible feat.
You know what? I would do it too. I would put him above Jordan if he did that.
Yeah, I think if he came here and won a title with these Knicks, and that includes the fact that KP's out for most of the season,
mm-hmm.
I think you build him a goddamn statue next to the Statue of Liberty.
Yeah.
We give him one of the boroughs becomes LeBron. Staten Island, you're officially LeBron. Yes, LeBron's not coming here. What else did I want to say? I guess so there are some things minor criticisms. People said that Fizdale is such a good talker that he may have talked about he can impress you in an interview more so than he is actually as a coach.
The players seemed impressed with him as a coach, other than
yeah. I mean, who the hell knows? And you know what? You got to under pressure situations, you got to be able to talk, and that's so. If you can talk well in an interview, then maybe you can talk well with the players. And I mean, who the hell knows what makes a good coach? Do you have any idea? I'm a Knicks fan. I have no idea what makes a good coach.
I'll let you know when I see it.
Yeah, so it's as good as any other situation. Anyone else we would have hired, it would have been fine as well. I mean, like something. We'll see what happens. I got actually all excited for Fizdale for a split second. I was like, yeah, he's gonna bring like more modern NBA. I mean, one of the criticisms of Hornacek was that he was more of a he had not risen to the modern game was a criticism, and he was like a little bit behind. And Fizdale's more of a modern NBA coach. He's going to really do the advanced metrics. And I'm like, this is going to be great. I can't wait to see how he works with KP in 2 years when KP's healthy again. God damn it. Forget this season. For half a second, I was like excited. And I realized there's nothing to like be excited about for next year.
Oh, we should mention they gave him a 4-year deal too.
Everyone gets a 4-year deal, though. Are you criticizing them for giving a 4-year deal when he's clearly going to he's only going to be the Knicks coach for a year and a half?
No criticism at all. I mean, it's good to have at least the appearance of consistency.
Continuity or whatever. The appearance of non-ineptness.
I mean, there is always the chance that the Knicks end up paying 5 coaches at the same time.
That would be amazing. I mean, it would be unbelievable. I think you talked about on the show once that a while back how who's the only rookie the Knicks have had who's been re-signed after his rookie contract was up. And who was it? Who was it again? Charlie Ward?
Charlie Ward.
Yeah, it's still him because we haven't re-upped KP yet. So
right.
Anyway, I think and obviously we got to re-up. So the two things the Knicks have to meet to become a quality franchise. One, you have to have at least one rookie player that was re-signed after his rookie contract. You got to be development players. And two, you have to have one coach that you re-signed to additional years after his initial contract was up.
I feel confident that we have at least 18 months before we have to start talking about who's coaching the Knicks again.
Yeah, at least till the middle of probably till the following year. Like, he gets a honeymoon period. So the following year, we'll start seeing if Mark Jackson's available. And you're never going to know also, like, some people are like, the Knicks really should have gotten Budenholzer, the Atlanta guy. And you know what? And maybe he'll go to like the Bucks, and the Bucks will get really good. And you'll be like, God damn it, we should have gotten him, and we got Fizdale, and the Knicks are really bad, so we got the wrong coach choice. The way what people said about Kerr, they were like, oh, if we only got Kerr, we would have won the title instead of the Golden State Warriors.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, whatever. If Budenholzer goes there, Milwaukee's really good. Well, it's because they got the Greek Freak, and they have got some talent there. If the Knicks are bad next year, it's because Fizdale's not a god. He can't just magically make things work out.
Yeah, let's go into this with reasonable expectations, like low expectations.
What are the expectations? So the expectations, I'll throw an expectation. I want to see some semblance of a system being created here, where players are buying in on offense and defense to some. They don't have to be good at offense and defense, but there's some, I see some kind of system developing, which takes a while.
Mm-hmm.
What else do you want to see?
I want to see him supporting the players and the players supporting him. I want everyone to be happy with the situation, whether they're good or not. I just want them to be like, hey, we like this coach and we got our coaches back.
You want to see no players get banned mid-season from the team, or no locker room scruffle, nothing where leak statements where one guy's bashing another guy, or just
exactly the usual Knicks stuff.
Yeah, the stuff that we expect every goddamn season. By the way, I wanted to mention this. Knicks hired their coach, and immediately I saw some tweet about how Fizdale made some comment about, with KP injured, how the Knicks going to attract free agents. And now he goes, well, Fizdale, now that you got the job, how are you going to attract free agents? Could you wait 12 seconds before you criticize the new coach or the situation, or say something negative, Isola? And secondly, you know what? We're not going to attract free agents. It doesn't matter. If Popovich came here, he would not attract free agents. The team has to get somewhat decent before you're going to attract any free agents. Right now, the only thing you're going to get is either guys you overpay or guys who maybe were role players elsewhere who think they can get more minutes here.
Or second chance guys, redemption projects.
You're going to get Michael Beasley. You're going to get or you get a Trey Burke. That's the guys you're going to get until you build a better team. I mean, the Knicks have to hit a lot of things out to make going forward. Fizdale has to hit. He has to end up being a really good coach. We need the KP to come back in full strength from the injury. Ntilikina's got to develop. Whoever we draft for this draft pick we have to nail this pick. You can't screw this pick up. You got to nail this pick. A lot has to go right for us not to be miserable going forward for the next 5 years.
Yeah.
Our chances are, Jay, are we going to be miserable in the next 5 years?
The Vegas odds on that are probably very lopsided toward being miserable.
So let's take some goals here. I'd like to see more three-point shooting. I'd like to see a noticeable amount of more three-point shooting.
I want to see a noticeable amount more of three-point shooting defending.
Oh my God, yes. I want to see the defense overall. I mean, the defense, I have to say that the first 10 or so games of the year, it looked like Hornacek had the team on the right path with defense. They were playing better. And obviously, I'd like to see more of that. A team, and I'd like to see that sustained. This team also, every last couple of years, it's always been they start off the year not so terribly, where you have some minor hope. And then at some point in game 42 of the season, the bubble bursts and the team's like, we're done. And they don't play. They just give up the rest of the season. I'd like to see a full season, game 1 to game 82, where the team gives a crap and tries, and it's not just a awful. Like you get the fact the players are trying to actually build something and play well, and not just giving up on their coach.
Right.
Even if we're bad, I want to see some fight.
Mm-hmm.
What else do you want to say?
I would like to see signs of really good coaching. Like a good example is Brad Stevens. So they lost their 2 best players. Everyone thinks they're going to get stomped by the 76ers, and they go out there and they're just killing it. They're up 3-0. Basically, like they're playing above expectations. They're also the out of timeout plays that Stevens is drawing up are ridiculous.
So you're saying you're hoping Fizdale can emulate what an historic coaching job that Stevens is doing right now.
I'm saying like a surprise coaching job, or just I'm saying signs of it. I'm not saying I want him to be Brad Stevens, but I know. I'm just saying
Brad Stevens is doing. It is unbelievable the fact that they lost Hayward, Kyrie, and they missed Jaylen Brown for one of the games, and they were still winning. They're playing unbelievable. Yeah, you're right. And the plays they draw up, Stevens is a top 3 coach in the NBA right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he should win. I know it's probably not going to get it just because of the regular season, but he should win Coach of the Year.
I mean, even the regular season, you might consider it. I mean, they had a great record, and they had lost Hayward, and Kyrie missed a bunch of games. Like,
yeah, they still finished with the 2 seed. I mean,
yeah,
strong argument for that.
I mean, I know you can't account for playoffs also, but I don't know. Dwayne Casey doesn't look so good right now with the Raptors.
No,
Let's get back to the playoffs. Get back to the Knicks, and we'll go to the playoffs in a second.
Okay.
So anyway, I like the fact that Fizdale is flying out to Latvia. Or I don't know if he's flown out already. Like immediately, he's like, one of the biggest things I got to do here is make a good relationship with my best player.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's great.
I think he said that he wanted to correct some mistakes he made in Memphis. So learning from your mistakes sounds really good to me. Actually, one of the things I also want to see is I think one of the things he should do to like keep some continuity with the Knicks is that maybe he should invite Abby Hornacek to games.
I like that idea.
I thought that was a good idea. Does Fizdale have a hot daughter?
I don't know.
I don't think he does. That is a mark against him.
Not that it benefited at all with Hornacek.
Yeah, no, it didn't really work out. It is kind of ridiculous how Knicks. I just looked at the guy. I have a thing both posted here of like the Fizdale and the latest news articles, and it's like Knicks prepared to open cap space if LeBron James wants to. Like, come on. Yeah. So, what do you think this means for the team going forward? I mean, it's so hard to tell when we're also going to speculate. Obviously, who benefits here? I mean, I guess the guys that play well at basketball benefit, obviously. But like, what do you? Is there anything that we should take from this?
I think we could take that maybe the front office is making some not stupid moves for once.
Yeah, that would be the. Yeah, I mean, outside that, there's not much to say. I mean,
no, he hasn't coached yet. We have no idea what it's going to look like. It's really hard to speculate on how anything. We don't even know who probably 8 or 9 players on this team is going to be yet. There's going to be massive turnover this offseason. So
I mean, just because it's every offseason. Yeah, like at least 7, 8 guys are going to be new on this team.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you don't know the nice thing is that I guess like anyone who was like a favorite of Hornacek, or if you didn't like that, it's start from scratch here. Everyone's got to prove themselves as a new coach.
Yep.
And then either way, the Knicks are going to be pretty bad this year. If the Knicks win 30 games with this squad and no KP, it would probably be a positive.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to say about Fizdale?
No.
Are you disappointed that Mark Jackson didn't get the job?
Oh my God. I don't know if I'm more happy Fizdale got the job or I'm happy Mark Jackson did not get the job.
Are you at all concerned about the fact that he had a falling out with his star player in Memphis like right away?
No.
Okay.
Not at all.
Yeah. someone said they're like, we can't just assume because he had a falling out with one tall European player, he'll have a fallout with every tall European player.
Yeah, I mean, it's just maybe Marc Gasol is difficult, and we just didn't hear about it with the other coach.
Also, not that it matters, but Fizdale did turn down a 4-year deal with the Suns to come to the Knicks.
There you go. He wants to be here.
He wants to be here. They supposedly that was his choice. His number one choice was to be the Knicks. Why do you think his number one choice was to be the Knicks coach? Is he insane?
He's either insane or he wants to go down as the greatest coach of all time. And just like LeBron winning a championship here, Fizdale winning a championship here would make a strong case for that.
I mean, it's also like you win here. Winning here is like, it's hard to win anywhere, but like winning here is the coolest place to win.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's talk about the NBA. You want to talk about around the NBA? You have anything else Knicks to add?
Nope.
Okay.
Let's take a quick break, and then we will get to that.
Sweet.
Okay, we are back.
It's like we didn't go away, Jay. I don't really understand. You said the break, and like nothing happened, Jay. Did you just insert a commercial and that's all?
Moving on.
So there are 4 series, and they're barely series. You want to start with the East? Actually, yesterday was a hell of a day of playoff basketball. Even though like the series both seem over, but that was a hell of a day.
It was. The series are lopsided, but the games are close. So I guess that's all you can ask for, really.
Toronto. I mean, both basically the Toronto game. Toronto-Cleveland game and the Philly-Boston game came down to last-second shots. Well, I guess Philly-Boston didn't come down to the last-second shot as much. Well, I guess it came down to the last-second shot.
I legitimately feel bad for Raptors fans now.
Well, just the Boston game with the Bellinelli hits a last-second shot in regulation to tie the game, which almost by like a half an inch basically it could have been a 3-pointer whose foot was on the line. If foot was not on the line, it wins the game. They dropped confetti like they're the guy like. Which was also crazy.
That changes the entire series.
Yeah, but instead, his foot's on the line, 2-pointer, tied, go to overtime. Celtics. Also, Brad Stevens drew up a hell of a play where they get the ball, the pass to Horford to not the alley-oop. He passed over. They basically switched got Embiid to switch off of Horford, threw the ball up to him, and he got it was a great play.
Did you see the post-game interview with Horford?
What did he say?
He was saying, like, sometimes Stevens draws up plays, and I'm like, yeah, I don't see how that's going to possibly work. And then it works, and we score, and I'm like, oh, my God, this guy's amazing.
And versus, like, Hornacek or any Knicks coach, is like, I don't see how that's possibly going to work, and it didn't. So I don't know what Hornacek was even thinking. He got the number of players wrong on the court. What the hell?
Hornacek's like, I don't see how that's possibly going to work. And I'm like, you didn't even draw up a play yet. And he's like, yeah, we're just going to lose. I don't see how this can possibly work.
That was an incredible play. I can't believe he got all the I don't know how he got Embiid off of Horford, plus got all the guys to clear out. Like, it was just a perfect play.
Yeah.
And then Bellinelli throws up a prayer to try to win tight.
Which also almost went in.
Almost went in, which I can't believe they let him get that shot off. And then I also got I saw it. We were doing kid stuff, but I saw we were home, and I saw like this, like it was like 30 seconds ago in the game. I turned it on, saw the shot by Bellinelli, knew we were going to overtime. And I'm like, I'm getting Zach to watch this. Like, I brought my son in, and he got really into it for overtime. He was when Bellinelli missed that shot, he wasn't really rooting for your team, but his heart was palpitating. Like, he was like, oh my God. He's like, oh my God.
That's awesome.
And then the Toronto game, Raptors. Just so that I know you have a coach. The coach knows more than I'll ever know about basketball. But just letting you guys know, LeBron James is getting the ball for the last second shot. You might want to guard him with all 5 players on your team. Holy crap! He ran the length of the floor basically, and just hit the most ridiculous shot to win the game.
See, the problem though is LeBron's an amazing passer, so like you really do have to cover everybody else.
You know what? Just have a second guy on him and just lose because he passes the ball to someone else and that guy hits the shot. Just go with that. I know he's an amazing passer and whatever. Just get the ball out of LeBron's hand. Just do something. Don't let him beat you like that.
Also Okay.
If you were to, I mean, you don't want him to run the length of the floor. You don't want him to like do that and get the shot off. But if he's going to get the shot off, you probably are like, I feel pretty good that his shot's like that shot he took. Basically, you're like, I'm fine with him taking that shot because he only makes that shot like one out of every. That's such a hard shot, and of course he hit it, so he wins the game.
Mm-hmm.
What were you gonna say?
I was going to say, if you're on Twitter and I criticize some questionable calls by the ref, that doesn't mean I'm saying LeBron sucks.
Yeah,
Just want to clear that up because that happened like 3 times this weekend. There was some shady, lopsided calls that, of course, went in LeBron's favor. And I mentioned that, and everyone's like, oh, you're taking away from LeBron's greatness. No, LeBron is the greatest player alive.
The referees do not call ticky-tack fouls on LeBron, and they do on other players, and that can really affect the game.
Well, my complaint was that they called a tripping foul on Lowry when it was clearly a charge by LeBron. Like, it wasn't even up for debate, and it got Lowry in foul trouble, and he had to leave the game. I mean, that's like a game-changing sequence right there.
Yeah.
That was his 3rd foul. You know, you could say, oh, they ended up winning by 15 or whatever. You know, it was a close game, but if they won by 15, you could say, oh, they won by a lot. Well, maybe that's because their starting point guard was out of the game.
That makes a giant difference. That's one thing I hate about NBA is that like refereeing is so subjective, and it's so subjective and inconsistent. If it was consistent,
it's subjective, it's inconsistent, and it's game altering.
Yes, all these things: subjective, inconsistent, game altering. It's such a big deal. It's not knocking LeBron. LeBron is whatever you want to say. He's top 2 of all time. Whether you want to put Jordan first or him first, LeBron's amazing, and what he's doing in this playoffs are unbelievable. Shots he hit yesterday were ridiculous. Mm-hmm. He's an unbelievable player. You could think all that and still say, hey, some of the foul calls were kind of BS.
I mean, I would love to see him do all that and say, I have absolutely no criticism whatsoever. Like, the game was called evenly, and he was awesome. But I'm having that, like, oh, he's doing this against, like, a bench squad half the time.
Yeah, I don't remember well enough if the referee was a big issue with Jordan. I don't think it was a huge issue because they let a lot more go. If anything, you probably could argue the opposite. Like they allowed too hard of fouls on Jordan without calling fouls because the '90s basketball was just different. But yeah, I don't know. I agree. What he's doing is insane. So I don't want to diminish anything he's done. But you're right. Like that kind of thing drives me crazy about the NBA.
Yeah.
But okay, so Toronto had 2 games where they should have won at least one of those 2 games. The game 1 and game 3, they should have won one of those 2 games, and they had every opportunity to win those games, and they blew it. And now they're down 3-0. Clearly, we're going to see the Cavs versus the Celtics in the next round, which will be a great playoff series.
And we're going to see the Rockets and Warriors, so it's the exact Final Four that everyone thought at the beginning of the season.
Pretty much, yes, exactly. Exact Final Four you could have predicted on day 1 of the season. Everyone nailed.
Although I got to say, it was a much more exciting ride this time.
Yes, it was a much more, definitely was not as obvious. I definitely thought Toronto was going to give Cleveland a lot more problems, and obviously they did not.
It actually looked like a Toronto Phillies conference final for a minute.
Yeah, no, we were fooled. So, yeah, if you're Toronto though, what's your reaction to this? Do you just say, forget it, we have to fire our coach, start over again, or do we just come back with the exact same team next year with some tweaks and go let's give it another shot?
I don't know. This is a beatdown, and maybe you wait and see what LeBron does. If LeBron goes West Coast, maybe oh well, we don't have to lose till the finals now.
Yeah, well, that's a huge step up. If he stays in the East, whatever he does, if I'm Toronto, I'm like, both those games were so close. If we won one of those games, if not both those games, the series is completely different. I would just go back to fight again and hope my team learns enough from this that we can get better. They have young players that are getting better. I don't know. You're so close, and rebuilding this team would be a nightmare. Just give it another shot next year and see what you can do. I'd keep Casey basically.
Yeah, I mean,
they're talking about getting rid of Casey.
You got a point that those 2 games were so close. You pretty much have to say a couple bounces here and there, one less tripping foul. I'm just rubbing that into if that guy's
of course,
listening.
yes, obviously.
But yeah, it's so close.
It's so close that like you could a couple ball bounces your way, a couple possessions. It's a much different series, and maybe you win it next year, or maybe LeBron finally, if he comes back with Cleveland, his squad just keeps getting worse. Maybe next year's the year. Maybe LeBron can't do it next year. He can't play at this level. At some point, he's not going to play at this level. At some point, other teams are going to emerge. I would keep going with what you're doing. People are saying that Toronto needs to scrap things, change things. I keep going what you're doing. Try to add a little more talent in the offseason. But I feel like the mistake to change where they are.
Well, there's also the fact that their team is much, much younger than LeBron.
Yeah.
And in theory, I don't know how long HGH lasts in the system. Just kidding, but at some point he's got to start declining.
At some point he's got to start declining. You could last this out. And they were saying the other thing is that, well, you know what? Lowry and DeRozan are very, very good players. They're all-star players, but they're not truly great players. And maybe you need a truly great player, so they should figure out how to get a truly great.
See, I don't agree with that because they're built more like Detroit was.
Yeah, exactly. You know, a lot of teams also the Pistons had to fight through the Celtics back in the 80s, and the Bulls had to fight through the Pistons. Sometimes teams have to go back again and again and fight through it until they get through. The Raptors have as good a shot as anyone else at taking over after LeBron is done with his run. So you keep doing it.
I'd say at least one more year.
Yeah, at least one more year. Then you can blow it up. Unless you want to give your best players to the Knicks, then I'm down. Okay, the other series, Philly versus the Celtics. This also 3-0. What do you got to say about the series?
Shocking. I thought Philly was going to win handily. Boston had a lot of trouble with a not very good Milwaukee team, which is looking more like it was just a bad matchup than anything.
I mean, Milwaukee, the thing is they still have some very good players. Even though they're not a great team, you still have to beat some very good players.
Yeah, but I mean, Boston's mopping the floor with what I think is a much better team.
They are. Well, not mopping the floor as much as it was a game of inches. If Bellinelli hits. By the way, adding Ilyasova and Bellinelli, but in the middle of the season, was such a huge upgrade for that team.
Yeah, it was. That's exactly what they needed.
But if Bellinelli his foot is an inch, 3 inches over, and it's a 3-pointer, it's 2-1, and maybe Philly has a real shot in the series.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, you're Philly. You're just hey, Embiid's in his second season. Simmons in his first season. We have a top 10 pick this year in the draft, or number 10 or 11 in the draft. We have so much going for us. A lot of cap space. We are in the right trajectory. We will celebrate the season if we get swept by the Celtics. We'll learn from this and get better.
And there's a chance that Fultz gets much better.
Can't get much worse.
I mean, they have a bunch of nice young pieces.
Yeah, they have so much going for them that you're very excited if you're a Philly fan. And the Celtics, you're just wow, Brad Stevens is a good coach. Wow, holy crap.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there is no chance Rozier would be Ntilikina on the Knicks, or I don't know, he just wouldn't be that good.
Yeah,
and it's amazing. I'm sure Rozier is a very good player, but I'm sure with Brad Stevens, he became a great player. Your backup point guard is awesome. How the hell did he turn this team? I don't know. It's so impressive the fact that he made Terry Rozier to be so good, and so impressive that the play with all the injuries. The Celtics next year, the Celtics they lose the Cavs next round. You're how do we improve this team? How about we just get back Kyrie Irving and Gordon Hayward?
Yeah, exactly. They're going to be twice as good.
Plus, they have a high draft pick because they have the. Do they have the what pick? I know they have a high draft. Do they have Miami's pick or?
I'm not sure, but I think it's the top 5, right?
No.
No. Okay.
Maybe I hope you're wrong. Let me think. Let me see. The Tankathon will have that. I thought they had Miami's pick. They have the Lakers pick. No, they have
Somebody's got the Lakers pick.
Where the
Lakers don't have the Lakers pick.
Philly has the Lakers pick.
Okay. So
they're going to get that. I thought Boston had a high draft pick this year. I thought they had someone's pick, but maybe I'm completely wrong. I guess they don't. Whatever. Who cares? I thought. Wait, who has Brooklyn's pick this year? Cleveland's Brooklyn's pick. I knew that. Okay. Anyway, either way, you're a Celtics fan. You're pretty excited. Also, let's go to the West.
The West, the Warriors are much better than the Pelicans.
Well, the Pelicans got a victory, and you're happy about that.
Yeah, I mean, that's all. I mean, if you're the Pelicans, you win one against the Warriors. You're like, it was a good run.
You can set off your confetti also, just like when the Knicks beat the Heat that one game in the first round of the playoffs. We did confetti because we were like, whatever, we're gonna celebrate. I don't care how embarrassing it is that we're celebrating this.
I mean, this is a team that I didn't even think would make the playoffs, and they won a game in the second round. So
they have a lot to build on.
That season's a win.
I mean, Anthony Davis, what is he? How old is he now? 23?
Yeah.
24? Like, they have so much to build on that, like, and they're finally figuring it out. So you're pretty excited that we got this far, and we'll celebrate one victory against Golden State. He's 25. And then the game going on right now, Houston. What do you guys say about the series?
I mean, same thing with Utah. They got a real young team. They had a bunch of injuries. I mean, they had Rubio go down. They had
that really hurts.
Cephalosha go down, who's a good defender, and there's they lost Gobert for a while, but he's back for the playoffs. But I mean, Donovan Mitchell's really good. They got the guy who looks like Toby from The Office is really good.
I mean, the thing with Donovan Mitchell also, you're like, Houston seems to have they're giving him problems, and so his offense isn't quite. He's not playing as well in offense. But you know what? He's a goddamn rookie in the second round of the playoffs against the best team in the or one of the best teams in the NBA. I'm very impressed that he's even here, and he's playing well enough. Fantastic. I'm a Utah fan. I couldn't be happier about how well we're playing with the fact that we lost Gordon Hayward last year.
Mm-hmm.
If you kept Gordon Hayward, you probably would not be as good.
Yep.
Arguably, Donovan Mitchell does not play as much, and you're not as good.
Mm-hmm.
So awesome. So what do you think about Houston versus? I don't know how we even debate Houston Golden State. I don't know who the underdog for these series are.
I mean, that's going to be probably the highlight of the playoffs.
Houston Golden State, I would say so. That's going to be a hell of a series.
Because I think either one of those teams spanks whoever makes it out of the East. And, I mean, Cleveland, Boston, I think will be a close series.
I mean, at this point, I would say we both agree. Well, I don't know what you say. I'm going to switch back to LeBron always makes the finals, and that he'll beat the Celtics. It'll be really interesting to see what the Celtics can do. Like the best coach team in the NBA, arguably one of the best coach teams in the NBA, arguably the best, if not one of the best coach team in the NBA. What they can do against Cleveland, Kevin Love is playing better now, but they don't have a lot else going on right now.
Yeah, I mean, Kevin Love snapped out of whatever funk he was in just in time because they're screwed without him playing like this.
Yeah, I mean, and LeBron is just playing on another level. But can you figure out? Can Brad Stevens figure out a way to keep LeBron just have him just have an All-Star night instead of a otherworldly night every night?
If anybody can, it'll be Stevens.
Yeah. Questions. Let's go to Facebook questions.
We have 2 emails.
Okay, go.
Mr. C writes, "Hey guys, how likely is it that the next coach lasts more than a year? If the next coach is going to get fired within a year, whatever happens, which coach would give the most entertaining ride next year?"
I think the next coach will have to wait to year 2 to get fired.
Yeah.
Fizdale. And who would be the most entertaining if not Fizdale?
Ron Artest.
Ron Artest, yes, he was a candidate. I think he would have been amazing. Just for the post-game press conference alone.
Yeah. He just shows up to the games shirtless.
And they ask him, "Where's his shirt?" And he's like, "Yeah, I don't think I have to wear one."
Angel writes, "This is just pure speculation, but do you think LeBron James takes steroids or other performance-enhancing drugs? I noticed that LBJ is always rubbing his hands on the side of his jersey, so it got me thinking if he's maybe applying something to his hands in order to get a better grip on the ball or something. I'm just hating on LBJ, even if he's taking a magical elixir that enhances his strength and speed and keeps him young forever. There's no questioning his skills and intellect, and the man is probably the best basketball player ever."
I mean, the thing is, it's even if let's just say the people that some people speculate takes HG or steroids. Let's say he does.
Mm-hmm.
How do you still not get injured? That's the part. I understand it helps your recovery, but you didn't just mess up. And like guys get just something happens to guys all the time. LeBron seems to just say injury free. The only thing that makes sense to me if there's some magical genie lamp and somehow like you would be a big NBA star, the greatest ever, but people will still think you're a crybaby. How is that possible?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just unbelievable how he. But
I will say I've had my suspicions about his use of those things, but as far as rubbing the hands together, when I play, I'm constantly doing that because my hands sweat and it makes the ball slippery. So I'm constantly rubbing my hands against my jersey trying to dry them off. So I'll give them the benefit of the doubt as far as that goes.
And by the way, for those speculating that Jay is taking HG to get to show number, what number are we on?
424.
Yeah, Jay has yet to get injured getting all this run of Knicks shows. But speculation, it's true. Jay is taking HG, right, Jay?
I mean, you could tell by my physique.
HGH is like we'd like to, even if he is, please we'll pay him to say he's not.
I mean, what I do have in common with LeBron is both of us are losing our hair.
Yeah, there you go.
And that's where the comparison ends.
Both of us won't play for the New York Knicks.
Yeah.
By the way, so we had two before we get to Facebook. We had two Facebook messages that we always forget to read. This one's from a couple weeks ago, but Ralph wrote to us and said we were talking about Red Auerbach, and he said no, Red was not the GM when the Knicks won their championships. That guy was Eddie Donovan. You guys should know that if you weren't so damn young. You got to watch how you phrase questions when you Google it.
Thank you, Ralph.
Ralph, I understand the last second part of it, but this one from 3 days ago. Jonathan wrote to us. He said, I don't understand why you guys don't like Mark Jackson. Yes, I know about the Draymond Green thing, but if you look for something bad about any coach, you will find something, even Popovich with Kawhi Leonard. Jackson's record for those 3 years, 23-43, then 47-35, then 51-31. He preached defense. And he had that record with Monto Ellis and Steph Curry playing the 1 and 2, and both were horrific defenders, and Curry with all his ankle issues. I'm not saying he's the best candidate, but I would not mind if he gets the job. Well, he didn't get the job, but that is I would say he made a solid case for him, though. Forgetting everything else you heard about, the record alone was pretty good, a pretty good turnaround.
Yeah, it's all that other stuff.
Yeah, all the other stuff. There's too much other stuff going on, but I don't think he would be necessarily a bad coach. I just feel like the fact that the Golden State took off afterwards also scares you a little bit. How he kind of in some ways may have been holding back the team. Who the hell knows? All the other stuff. We have Fizdale as the coach, so let's not dwell on Mark Jackson. We can talk about. I'll tell you this. In a year and a half, we'll talk about Mark Jackson to be the coach when they fire Fizdale. Jimmy writes, Fizdale, how good an appointment is it? So Jay, from 1 to 10, what do you give this?
Based on the pool that was out there, I give it a 9.
Yeah, okay, I agree with that. Hard to give anyone a 10, but
yeah, I don't think there was really any 10s out there, and the fact that he was our top 2 pick, I can't really give it lower than a 9 because they picked who I wanted them to pick.
Yeah, I mean, there's no one you're like, I wish they gotten so and so instead, or no one you would have made a strong case. You would have said yeah, there's no one. The rumor was that the one guy you might have said I would have been great to get Doc Rivers. Doc Rivers is apparently extending into L.A. So. And
apparently they didn't even want to talk to Jeff Van Gundy for some reason.
Yeah. Whatever. And you could always argue Jeff Van Gundy. The concern might have been that he's more old school. He hasn't been coaching in a long time. Fine. Whatever, that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
John Jean writes, what is going to be the development plan for our young players?
Hopefully defense and conditioning.
I mean, they say that Fizdale was big about, he had a good relationship with the players, but he's also big about accountability and really held guys accountable. I used the word accountable twice. And he was really good at standing up to players. And so hopefully all that will be a good sign. He's got a roster. Outside of KP, there's no strong personalities on this team as far as there's no prima donnas. I guess we don't know what the rest of the roster will look like, but there's the team. No one. We have no all-stars. It's a bunch of young players who really need to play well and impress the coach. He's in a good situation as far as like going there. The players should hopefully buy right in to begin with. There shouldn't be any ego issue with like trying to buy into the new coach.
Right.
And as far as with all the players, hopefully he holds them accountable and doesn't like give excessive minutes to like Lance Thomas for no reason.
Mm-hmm.
Oscar writes, Fizdale is likely to go small ball a lot, which implies KP would be playing the center a lot when he's back from injury. How worried should we be about KP not being happy about it, as he always stated he prefers playing power forward? Next season will be his contract year.
I think if the Knicks are playing well, then it won't be a problem. Players seem to stop complaining when they're doing well.
Yeah, I think I'm fine. Fizdale could challenge the players to do whatever. I think the players will buy in if it's working out. And KP will see he's not going to be back until towards the end of the season. So when KP gets back, he'll either think Fizdale's doing a good job and want to buy into everything Fizdale's saying, or it'll be a mess, and then, like, whatever, KP's probably not coming back at that point anyway.
Because if KP is a step slow, he's probably going to be better at the 5 for a while anyway.
Yeah, he's a step slow. But I mean, like, the other theory is that if he's banging like with the big centers, then that'll probably be worse for his injury. But I don't know. I agree with what you said. Like, if he's going to be a step slow, center's probably a better position anyway.
Yeah.
And you know what? We got to move to small ball. We got to try some other things right now. Daniel writes, let's be honest. I have a question. Here's a good one. Does Fizdale, who's going to be going more small ball, does that make it more likely Cantor opts out?
No.
Why?
Monies.
That's probably a good. I mean, it probably gives him a pause, being like, I may not have the same role in the team, but that's a lot of monies.
Yes.
Daniel writes, let's be honest, has it ever mattered what coach we had, Wilkins, Brown, D'Antoni? It's the players.
I mean, having a garbage roster is definitely a detriment to having success as a coach.
Yeah, I mean, we did it. D'Antoni seems to be coach of the year and arguably coach of the year again this year. So he was the Knicks coach. It's the roster.
Yeah.
John writes, question. Would you bring Melo back to New York for his final year at $24 million if OKC was willing to reunite Noah with his collegiate head coach and take his final 2 years off our books? Of course, to make money match, we'd have to throw in Courtney Lee or Lance Thomas. Remember, Melo forced his way out of New York, and the regime that traded him is still here.
So we get Melo for his last year. He looks borderline washed up. He refuses to go to the bench.
We assume OKC is like they're doing tons of cocaine, and that's why they're willing to do this deal.
So they're taking on two. No.
Why would they? Like, they're upset enough about taking this 1 year of Melo, and they're like, you know what? That sounds great. We'll get 2 years of Noah. That's even better. Like, there's no way OKC is like, I want to be in cap hell for 2 years instead of 1.
Yeah.
So this it doesn't even matter. Like, but let's just say OKC is like, we you know what? We found out if we can really, really screw the cap situation up here, we'll win a bet with someone that said we won't have the guts. Let's say that somehow they believe in Noah. Would you bring? And they actually call us with this offer, and we figure out it's not a prank call. Would you do it?
No.
Are you insane? Just to get rid of a year of Noah? Why not?
I'm just done with Melo's no defense bitching. I don't want that around the young guys.
Oh, you know what you do? You make the trade, then you buy out Melo, and you call it a day.
It would be even funnier if you don't buy him out and you just put him on the bench.
Or you just say Melo. Yeah, you say Melo. You don't come to the arena. We're paying you $28 million not to be here. We'd rather do this than have Noah here for 2 years. You don't have to have him play on the team.
Mm.
Yeah,
no, I would say like you're our seventh man, and if you don't like it, then you play 0 minutes, and you waste like the last functional year of your career.
You're backing up Lance Thomas. Just that's how it works.
Yeah.
But realistically, though, wouldn't you just take it and just like cut Melo right afterwards? Just buy him out afterwards. What's the problem?
I didn't think of that. I was just thinking of him having to be playing on the team.
Okay, yeah, I don't want him playing on the team. James writes, What is his assessment, strengths and weaknesses of the current roster? What sold him on the Knicks, especially with the other jobs like Milwaukee open? Knowing the recent Knicks history of bad trades, bad draft, bad unrestricted free agent signings, coaching changes, etc., what was it that made him choose the Knicks? So I don't know what his assessment of the whole roster is. I don't think Fizdale's talked enough about the roster yet. Why take the Knicks over Milwaukee?
I mean, New York's a fun market.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he just saw maybe on the one hand he likes the idea of going to a team where he can really rebuild. He's really rebuilding from scratch here. Or with very it's like you really you have more of a clean slate as opposed to Milwaukee. The expectations are pretty high on day one.
Yeah, I mean, and you're gonna have to cater to Giannis, and
it's Milwaukee. Who the hell wants to live in Milwaukee?
Yeah.
Yeah. Lee writes, who the hell knows about either way, all the crap the Knicks have done in the past, everyone thinks it's going to be different this time. Every guy that takes the job is it'll be different this time.
Yeah.
Lee writes, if the Knicks are looking to make any moves this offseason, realistically, who do we want?
There's not a huge free agent pool.
Yeah, well, we should probably look into this more when it gets to free. The problem with also looking at this, we really have to see who the Knicks draft. If they draft a small forward, you don't necessarily. It's not as important to bring in a small forward. But if you don't draft a small forward, you really need a small forward in this team.
Right. Okay, so we will revisit that question.
We have plenty of time. Mitch writes: Is Fitz better than the other interviewers, and why?
I mean, I thought he was. I mean, I don't know if you're talking about his interview style or not, but as far as his resume, he's got a great resume.
Yeah, he's got a great. I mean, the thing is, I think you want a guy that has a lot of experience. He's got a lot of experience. He's not as a coach, but a lot of assistant experience. He's learned from some really good coaches out there. So, I mean, when I say that, I include Whitson. So, Declan writes, I mean, he's had a lot of experience. What else are you going to ask for? I like this. What about this choice versus Jerry Stackhouse?
I like the Fizdale pick.
I like it better. He's had much more experience as an assistant. Declan writes, do you think Fizdale will be given a pass for his first year, given the lack of KP and how trash the Knicks were this season? I can see the media jumping on him if the Knicks record is bad again at the end of the season.
People should just know that the Knicks are going to have a bad record at the end of next season. I
mean, yeah, I kind of think he will get a pass for this year because it's such a situation where no one expects the Knicks to be good. I think Isola will rip on him to no end for no good reason. And the Knicks media will always rip on a coach no matter what. And this team wins 23 games next year. The coach the media will never say, well, it's all you can do with this roster. Mm-hmm. I feel like it comes down to they'll want to see. I think generally it doesn't necessarily have to translate into wins, but we want to see some difference in the team.
Yeah,
that seems like it's heading in the right direction.
Exactly.
Jajin writes, LeBron pro or con? If pro, would you guys still draft a 3 like Miles Bridges or Mikal Bridges, which could be mentored by James, or try to go for Bamba 5 Texas? Just perhaps he'll go further up in the draft. What do you guys think? Personally, do not know what to think as much as he irritates me, like us all, I suppose. If the way for Coach Fitz to put an all team behind him going forward, why not? As long as it does not become Mercury like in Cleveland, and that the offense puts some boundaries in place, why not? Jajin, thank you for the funniest question of the night. Mitch writes, KP at center, Frenchie, what's the D scheme? What are our weaknesses? I'd say our biggest weakness is when the other team puts out 5 NBA players against us.
Yeah, the biggest weakness is our roster.
Yes. Biggest weakness, we have to compete in the NBA. KP at center, I'd say that seems likely. Frenchie, I feel like we'll understand his role a lot better by the end of next year.
Yeah.
And I think you'll understand this guy's going to be legit. I mean, he not necessarily have to, we want to see some serious signs of development. If he's basically the same player he is now at the end of next year, we're in trouble.
Big trouble.
What's the scheme? Small ball. Bobby writes, Great, we hired a coach. Now Knicks fans can focus on bitterly fighting about our draft.
Yeah.
Gilliam writes, a week ago or so, the question of the day was, how much confidence do you have in this front office? After Fizdale hire, how has your view about front office changed?
It's gone up a little bit.
I agree. Gilliam writes, Fizdale could choose where to go and chose New York. Budenholzer said he was interested in New York, too. Blatt, Jackson, and any of the other coaching current assistants would have taken the job if offered too. But everybody knows the Bucks will search for a head coach. The Suns have a promising young team too and need a coach. Other good head coaching jobs might appear after the playoffs. Bottom line is, it seems New York was a very appealing for coaches and got the one they wanted. Thoughts on that? Will this soon translate to players in free agency too?
I mean, it'll translate in free agency if the Knicks look like any of the young guys are developing.
If they have cap space, I don't think we're going to see any translation in free agency for a while. I think it's more about maybe some minor moves where but yeah, I do think. I mean, New York has. I mean, people probably look at this and go like, you still have KP. It's a bona fide guy who should eventually turn into a star.
End of list.
People must think something of Ntilikina. I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. If Ntilikina makes a leap and they draft somebody decent this year, then you start looking at the Knicks. But right now, you're not looking at the Knicks.
Yeah, but what makes the job so appealing, even though like it's just a disaster being in New York? I guess it's just the fact that you could like win here. It's still when the Knicks are playing well, MSG is as electric as you can get. I have not watched games in too many other arenas, but I doubt any other arenas are as electric as MSG gets when the Knicks win a game or when the Knicks are playing well.
Yeah, I mean, there's that. There's the fact that you said it before. It's almost like a clean slate. There's low expectations. So there's a bunch of things going for it.
Yeah, I feel like a team like you go to Milwaukee, you're like, well, maybe there's some problems there. You're like a coach, you're like, I don't know how fast I'm going to be able to turn that around. Mm-hmm. And the expectations are to win fast. Phoenix, I don't know, your best player, like at least like the best player, at least the Knicks have KP. Like I don't know, they may have less to work with.
Yeah, their best player is Booker, who can't defend me.
Tune in next week when Booker tries to defend Jay. Gilliam writes, with Fizdale, do you think the Knicks now have a top 10 coach? Who would make the top 10? I don't think a top 10 coach. I think that's way too far. It's too soon to even make that kind of list.
Yeah,
I think they have a top 29 coach now.
I mean, you got to say definitely Popovich, Spoelstra.
I corrected you once.
Yep. You probably got to go D'Antoni.
Yeah, you got to go to D'Antoni. You got to go. I mean, there's so Doc Rivers. You got to go. There are so many coaches that are
Snyder.
better. I mean, the thing is, like, he's barely coached. We can't really judge him yet. Give him a chance before we even say where he is. Like right now, he's tied for 30th because really, he hasn't coached yet. He coached for such a small time in Memphis. Everything's about potential. Let's assess this in a year.
Fair enough.
Gilliam writes, along with Fizdale, it seems the other best available coach was Budenholzer. Leaving aside personal strengths and weaknesses like X and O's, charisma, defensive schemes, etc., the next Knicks coach will be asked to build a winning culture. Those two come from winning cultures, the Heat and the Spurs. Which type of culture do you like more, and which aspects fit New York the best?
Spurs.
Yeah, I don't. Whatever. It's really hard to say. I mean, Miami's done a good job also. Obviously, the Spurs are. Their success has been otherworldly. There's consistent success.
They also seem very humble.
Yeah, I mean, but no, Miami doesn't seem like other like. Obviously, they had LeBron there, but like, I don't know. The Spurs do, but like, they had issues with Kawhi. Obviously things aren't completely perfect there. Either one of those guys. I mean, Budenholzer was coached for a while with the Hawks. Are you concerned? Would you be concerned at all with the fact that the Hawks like chose to part ways with him after 4 years?
Well, and like they seem to really, not that they had a good roster this year, but They underperformed even with that crappy roster.
Yeah, I don't know if they were tanking. I don't know. Whatever. Either one would have been an excellent hire, and it's really like, again, I think it's just like, who the hell knows?
Yeah.
Eric writes, what will Frank Isola write about if we ever won a championship? Seriously, the guy's a troll.
He would probably complain about the quality of the parade.
He'd be like, congrats, Knicks. It took forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, Knicks, but what about next season?
That's probably what it'll be.
It's just, sometimes you read his tweets, you're like, dude, come on. Like, you could rip on this team to shreds all the time. And if you hear him in an interview, he sounds totally normal in an interview. He just sounds like a jerk on Twitter.
Yeah.
Like in an interview, you hear him. I've heard him interviewed. I'm like, oh, he's like, I totally like hearing what he has to say. He makes legitimate points. It's just the Twitter stuff. Like sometimes he makes good tweets, but I feel like does it really benefit all these guys to be on Twitter so much?
Well, he's got a lot of followers.
He has a lot of followers. I don't know. He just annoys me on Twitter sometimes. Okay, what did we learn today, Jay?
Well, if you want a good Twitter to follow Nick Film School. They're doing a real good job.
They're awesome. Were they new this year? Because I don't remember seeing them prior, but they did great.
I think it's a pretty new account. There's also he just started a website, knicksfilmschool.com, which is very good too.
Okay.
So,
yeah, he always has shows a lot. There's a lot of breakdown of clips, basically breakdown of. He shows them video of the plays and what's going on. It's
right.
Excellent.
So it's a very intelligent take. It's the exact opposite of this show.
Yes, exactly. It's everything. I guess if you make it this far in our show to even hear this, you probably don't like hearing intelligent things. But if you do,
maybe you're just like, okay, I got my dumb take on it. Now let's hear what a smart person wants to say about it. Follow Nick Film School.
I got the take from the guys that can't remember players' names. Okay, now I'm gonna. Okay.
All right. So we learned that the Knicks are capable of making moves that don't make us furious.
Yes. Good things to come going forward. We're done with the bad. We have crawled through we've done that whole Shawshank crawl through all the mud and the poop and all that, and now we're gonna hold our hands up. The rain's gonna come down, and we're to the other side. We're gonna win a bunch of titles.
There you go. So we are NY Knicks Podcast on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. nyknickspodcast@gmail.com is our email. And patreon.com/NY Knicks Podcast if you want to send us monies because you love our show. And you just can't believe it's free. And you're like, I feel guilty with all this quality free content. I'm going to give them $1 a month.
Let's say you used to coach or maybe with the team president of the Knicks, and you're being paid not to do that job anymore. And you're like, I just feel I feel a little guilty about the fact I'm getting paid so much to not coach or be the team president of the Knicks anymore.
Pay it forward.
Maybe you want to give them that money to us.
Exactly.
That'd be awesome.
And our website is thenewyorknickspodcast.com, where you can get the last 10 Knicks podcast shirts.
Yes, and Jay's address. Every one of them will come with Jay's address, and then you can just look it up, and you can just drop by Jay's place.
Drop by Jay's place.
If you come by Jay's place, he will offer you a beer, and you get to hang out with him in person.
Right, but don't do that.
Yes, exactly. Please buy a T-shirt for the sole purpose of getting Jay's address.
First part of that sentence, yes. Second part of that sentence, no. So,
okay.
Thank you for listening, everybody. We will be back in probably 2 weeks. There's nothing going on.
Yeah, unless anything. I can't see us doing a show next week.
2 weeks.
2
weeks.
Yeah,
Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
My love. Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye. It's all over. Goodbye. Time to go. This is the end. Say goodbye. Say that go away.
I'm gonna leave.